Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Lois Rugg. I am the president of the Kamloops and District Labor Council. I would like to acknowledge that I am here today speaking from the traditional and unceded territory of the within the Shweka'ulu. I acknowledge to Kamloops, to Shwetmik, and I'm very grateful to be here today with members of the Kamloops Indian Band and members of the KDLC Shoe Memorial Planning Committee, honoring the murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls and all murdered women victims and victims of violence. We remember and will continue to honor and fight to end violence against women on the National Day of Remembrance and every day. It's my pleasure to introduce Elder Evelyn Camille, who will be offering the blessing to this event and those present. Welcome, Evelyn.
Wij provided with large provides kitchen earlier. Thuis mijn hands klappen die Anna. En non hoog. En as net kalt het mij. Wie in? Juch stuurt de provider non hoog. As provider slim geld. Juch toch. Dat ben haar is laat. I heb ooit de vergeten non-hoog. Kalkoek picture, maar la is elk twaalfers, knoegen twaalfers. A husband and a wife work together. I will start this with a prayer in my language. Kalkoekbe, kaknementa kocht kalkoekbe. Juchmeinda kalkoekbe en a gehoord zelf kalkoekbe, maar la gehoord bestaan kalkoekbe, juchmeinda, maar ja, dus kalkoekbe, juchmeinda. Great Spirit, we ask for your guidance this day to work together for the good of all nations, people, for everybody. I am starting to feel the effects, the meaning of what's happening today. Many of our people have suffered long enough, all nations, that we must learn to work together as one. In the families, the communities, the country, we understand each other, that we have to work together to help each other and to respect each other. And this is, I see, is happening today. I am a teacher for elder in our school today, and we teach respect, honor, and we mentioned some ceremonies. We don't push the ceremonies. It's up to the families to learn about the ceremonies. We have people that know about our sacred ceremonies that had been taken away from residential schools, but many of us brought it back. We brought our language back. We brought our ceremonies back. So we are once again a proud nation, but we could not do it alone. With the help of all our non-First Nation friends. I had worked in the system for many years to bring us together in one family. So for those that have gone before us, we ask the Great Spirit to take their hand and to guide them and lead them gently home to His side, to the rest of our ancestors. As Great Spirit, to watch each and every one of you that are here today, that your path would be made clear and the blessings would be bestowed upon you. This I say with all my relations. Kacham
Evelyn, thank you so much for your words and your blessing. It means so much for you to be here and for us to be here with you today. So thank you again. I really appreciate that. It's an honor as well to introduce your newly elected chief, Roseanne Casimir. I should say newly re-elected chief, and we're happy that Roseanne has joined us today. So I would like to welcome Roseanne here to say a few words as well, and thank you, and I'll pass the virtual mic over to you if you would come up here. Thank you.
First of all, I just want to say Kuksjachim to our elder, our knowledge keeper, Evelyn Camille, for starting us off in such a beautiful way and giving us that much needed grounding that we needed with our prayer. I also want to acknowledge those who came and started us off with our welcome song as well. Welcoming all of you here to the direct ancestral lands of the Kamloops to Shwapmuk. That song is a prayer song, and it's thanking the Creator for bringing all of you here to this beautiful land, the Kuksjachim. So my Kamloops to Shwapmuk members, elders, knowledge keepers, matriarchs, and honored guests, survivors, intergenerational survivors, and all those joining us today on National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. The Rumen and Poopsman and Nelia to seek. I am truly honored to be here and joining all of you today. My name is Cookbee, Golden Day woman, Roseanne Casimir, Rentquest of the Kamloops to Shwapmuk. I am truly honored to welcome you here to our community, here at the Moccasin Square Gardens within Shwapmukulu. Acts of violence shakes all of us. It brings us together to stand in solidarity and unity, and for us all to be a part of creating awareness and remembering loved ones who have been lost due to violence. The National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women is about remembering those who have experienced gender-based violence and those who have been lost to it. We must all take action. It is about everyone educating, creating awareness for themselves, for their families, and their communities. Today, we are standing up and echoing that it is absolutely unacceptable for anyone to create an environment where anyone that does not feel welcome or is subjected to mistreatment and/or violence. We all must uphold and declare that there should be no tolerance for any form of bullying, racism, discrimination, harassment, and violence. We all must be committed to continuing educating the strategic priorities within the Truth and Reconciliation, the calls to action, 2015, and upholding those principles. We all deserve that. When we look at red dress in Canada, some facts that I'll share, and that was shared with me, and that I'll share with you, is we wear red in order to draw attention to more than 1,200 missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, two-spirited, transgendered, the LGBTQ in Canada, and we want to honor and remember those that we've lost. The idea came from a Métis artist named James Black. He was based out of Winnipeg. And originally, he was creating an art piece to collect 600 red dresses that were displayed in the public spaces across Canada. It has transitioned into a day of remembrance for those that we've lost. And here, today, we see the remarkable display honoring those who did not come home. The red shoes and the shoes that represent those that did not come home. And Jamie also, he chose the color red after speaking with an Indigenous friend who told her that red is the only color that spirits can see and is a way of calling the spirits of the missing and murdered women and the girls back to their loved ones. I want to take this opportunity to also remind everyone that we have a role and a responsibility to assist in ending violence. We want to build a community and a nation that values all people, and where all people can feel safe and secure in their homes and within their communities. We need to end the gendered and racialized violent crimes against Aboriginal women. We continue to call on the provincial and the federal governments to implement the murdered missing, the MMIWG2QS calls to action, and advocate for a national action plan and moving that forward. This past year, Louisa Housty Jones took on many dialogue sessions on themes of gender, identity, allyship, self-care, wellness, and reclaiming distinct roles. She also called on the women and the 2SLGBTQIA+. Those sessions through the BCAFN were to provide space for people to come together and to gain the strength to the theme of nourishing hope and belonging. That final report will be available and will create an action plan for implementation, both at the federal and the provincial levels, and creating and educating awareness. There was also a regional engagement on the development of the MMIWG2S GTQQIA+, and a national action plan this past May and June. That was hosted by both the BCAFN and the AFN's Women's Leaders Council, co-hosting that through a series of virtual events and engagement sessions on the development of that national action plan. They have developed a What We Heard report, and I know that that report will also be integrated into the AFN Women's Council contribution to the National Action Plan. And that is going to be called Breathing Life into the Calls for Justice. It will also serve as a foundation for the BCAFN's advocacy at the provincial and the federal levels. So in addition to that, we must continue to work together to end the violence and create a healthier, safer place for our friends, our family, and our loved ones. And we need to stop that violence. I also wanted to mention Gail Frank. You know, I just want to acknowledge her and her involvement as well in the shoe journey that she was on with a group of many mothers as well, bringing attention and education and bringing that into the arbor when the Prime Minister was here within our community. That shoe journey is a memorial of the 200 plus pairs that representing the children. And that there was about traveling to various places and acknowledging accountability, just like the shoes here. It's about acknowledging and honoring the accountability and those that did not come home. The shoe journey was founded by a group of local moms after the graves of the 215 were uncovered in May. This memorial creates the space for awareness, reconciliation, and an opportunity to provide a voice for the children that never made it home from residential school and its legacy. The shoe journey has also traveled within the Kamloops area to the courthouses, the local churches, and the doorsteps of the Kamloops City Hall as well. Each pair of shoes displayed represents an innocent life that was lost to the residential school. Just like every shoe here represents the life of a lost loved ones. A sister who never made it home. A daughter who did not make it home. A mother, a grandmother, a kia, an auntie, a godmom. So many people have mourned the lost loved ones. Each family has been torn apart by the unspeakable tragedies. And we are not going to stop talking about them. All of them matter. All of them are somebody's child. All of them are somebody's mother. So when I look at the shoes and the significance of today and honor, we all must honor and remember the importance of the shoes here and what it signifies for the families that it has impacted. Takawas Teshwetmik has a commitment towards the philosophy of our Kuswatlam canoes. We are all related, all living things. The environment, the ecosystem, the collegiality, the friendship, the teamwork, and the taking care of each other, the land, and the sustainability. I stand here in solidarity with all of you, bringing awareness, educating, and honoring those lost, and supporting our Kwiseltans, our neighbors who have lost loved ones, to end the violence. And remember National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. Take care of yourselves. We all must stop the violence. Kuksja.
So, Kuksjam, Roseanne, thank you so much for your words of inspiration and knowledge and information, and thank you for sharing that with all of us here today. It was so important, and I really, truly, and we all appreciate you sharing that with us, so thank you again. I would like to introduce Lenora Starr. Lenora is going to talk to us a little bit about the staff that has been created. So is Lenora still here? Oh, there she is.
Lenora Starr, my name is Lenora Starr, and I'm from Kamloops in the Strathlin Territory. This is my partner, Chief Barney Lampro.
Good morning. Yatak Shumwenwan, I'd like to say thank you to the Shuswaps for allowing me to stand on this land and speak a little maybe later.
So I'm here today to talk a little bit about the Interior Salish Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women and Girls staff. And just to note that it's held on to that title without expanding to include others simply because of the time frame in which it was received. So in 2017, I was gifted a white eagle feather from Brad Firth. Many of you would know him as Caribou Legs. He was at our Statlium Nashkan Oakwell ceremony, where we brought our spirits home from the Kamloops Indian Residential School. When I received that feather, I was told that it had traveled across Canada to raise awareness for murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. It was a great honor to have been given a feather, and I put it away for a year, and I thought really hard and I prayed really hard, trying to figure out and accept why I had been given this responsibility. It was meant to raise awareness and to unify. This was its purpose, as it had gone all the way across Canada. I shared the story of the white feather with my partner Arnie, and he and Ernie Michelle, both from Shakapmuk territory, came up with the idea to design a small staff as well as a larger sister staff. And they were ceremonied over when they were handed to me in 2019. Since that time, my sister Laura Grizzly Paws has assisted with the decoration and maintenance of the staff. From that moment forward, it was deemed to be a woman's staff. I have been given the responsibility to further create and care for the staff representing our murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. Again, I found myself in prayer and ceremony looking for direction as to what the purpose of this staff would be. Over the years since coming home, I've been researching our roles and responsibilities as Indigenous women in our communities, wanting to understand traditionally what did it mean to be a Statlium woman, a Shakapmuk woman, a Syilx woman. This led me to look back at our relationships with our neighboring nations and to understand how we worked and lived in cooperation with each other. We relied on each other for survival. Our relationships were complex and developed since the time of creation. We developed strong alliances and understandings. Our roles and relationships to each other were clear. Our roles as women was very different than how society defines it now. We need to get back to remembering our traditional roles and responsibilities and our traditional ways of recognizing and respecting and uplifting ourselves and our women. With this in mind, I had decided to deem the staffs as being representative of and for the use of the interior Salish tribes. The collaboration of our nations will be reflected visually on the staffs by the collective contributions of feathers. The commonality of the sacred role of our women will be represented. My hope is that the staffs contribute to the revitalization of our traditional ways of being and existing together in harmony and unity, putting our women in the respective role that they are entitled to. So as this staff travels, it collects feathers from the people. I think Arnie has put one feather on that staff, and the rest of the feathers on the staff, or two, have come from the people. And it's the people's staff. We could have went and got eagle feathers and adorned the staff with feathers, but we wanted people to bring a feather to us and say, this is for my sister, and give us the name and the information. And we've got all of that in a book for what every one of those feathers represents and who they represent. So that staff is representative, truly, from the hearts and prayers of the people who have been impacted by this. It is representative of those who have gone beyond, who have gone missing and been murdered. So my hope is that with the staff, as it continues to travel, it allows for our loved ones who have gone murdered and been missing to be remembered in a good way, so that their death is not for nothing. We need to be able to pull from this and come together, remember who we are, what our roles are, and how we collaborated and worked together. Oh, yeah, the staff I don't have with me today, basically because we got flooded out and we haven't had access to our home. So the staff is safe at home, but inaccessible. So we will send along some photos for the presentations.
So yatak shinwenwan Arnie Lampo and Squash, but my Indian name given to me was Nukoyank, which means the first light in the morning on the top of the Western Mountains. It's given to me by my elders. I just want to say that I'm related to everybody in this to Kamloops, Shuswap. My father was from here, and my mother is from the Statlium. My grandfather is from the Tlakatmuk. And I have relations all over in the Shields and the Stolo. So today, it's an honor to be here, even though I'm exhausted and we haven't been home for many, many days. You know, many devastations have happened. But anyways, I'm glad to be here and be able to say that some of our family back in the 70s were murdered and left. One of my first cousins, Monica Jack, you know, she hit the headlines way back in the 70s, went missing, and they found her. And that staff and that feather went to the Supreme Court of Canada on that day when the family finally got the, what was that? The victim impact statements from each one of the family. And so it was there in the Supreme Court of Canada. You know, those feathers were there, and that staff was there, and it shows great significance of the importance of our people and our women and young girls. Another one of my family was murdered and left by the Nicola Lake. You know, and so there's been many of my family that have been murdered or missing still today. That impacts us greatly. You know, and it's not just in the Tlakatmuk Nation. I'm talking about the Shuswap Nation and the Statlium Nation and all the nations that surround us in the interior. And it's important that we make sure that we never forget them. We never forget those voices. We never forget those faces. And never forget those families that went through endured all of those hard times when they lost their children or they lost their daughter, because every daughter was somebody's 7th generation in their family tree. And we have to be mindful that going forward that we have to take care of somebody's 7th generation, and that we're careful and we look after them and treat them kind, treat them with respect. And so I'd like to say that, and thank you for listening to me today. And sitting on this grounds here today is an awful reminder for myself as a survivor of the Kamloops Indian Reserve. You know, I played in this gym here in the late 60s. You know, and it's hard for me to stand in here today. It's a painful reminder. But we have to put those bad memories behind us and keep moving forward and treat everybody with kindness and respect. Amen.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories and to learn about the staff. And our hearts are with you and with all survivors. And thank you very much for your stories. Barbara Netterpel, who's the president of the Hospital Employees Union, a former president of the Kamloops District Labor Council, couldn't be with us here today, but she will be sending a message that we will put on our website. Barbara's been very involved with the Shoe Memorial over the years and has her own personal story that she will share with us as well. I would like to just take a moment to discuss that November 25th is the International Day to Eliminate Violence Against Women. It marks the beginning of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. In Canada, the National Day of Remembrance and Action of Violence Against Women falls within the 16 days of activism and is marked with vigils and events such as this to commemorate the lives lost, including the lives lost at the Montreal's École Polytechnique back in 1989, as well as lives lost to femicide and gender-based violence throughout the years. The 16 Days of Action ends on December 10th, Human Rights Day, and we mark these days because gender-based violence remains a threat to women and gender-diverse people in Canada. On May 13th in 2000, Dorothy McLaughlin was murdered by her boyfriend, gunned down beside her vehicle. Her daughters and her family began the Kamloops Annual She Memorial to remember and to help educate others to help end the violence. We honor Dorothy and all women who have lost their lives to domestic violence. We honor the murdered and missing Indigenous women. We honor them displaying the red dresses, representing the women, their spirits, comfort, and hope. And I thank you again, Roseanne, for sharing the story of the red dress. Those of us who are activists in our labor movement and in the community have done much work, and we have much more work to do to educate people and to end violence in our workplaces, in our homes. Today in Canada, 1 in 3 workers experience domestic violence, and over half report experiencing this violence at and near their workplace. 90% of transgender workers report feeling unsafe at work due to their gender identity or expression. 1 in 3 migrant care workers reported having their movement restricted by their employer during the pandemic. Gender-based violence and harassment for patients, co-workers, and the public was endemic within the healthcare. 70% of education workers experience physical violence on the job, and women and gender-diverse workers experience this violence at a higher prevalence than men. Racialized women face higher levels of harassment and violence than non-racialized women and experience barriers to reporting, support, and access to justice. Indigenous women are 2.5 times more likely to be victims of violence and 6 times more likely to be killed than non-Indigenous women. And over 60% of women and girls with disabilities experience gender-based violence. This cannot stand. The KDLC, the Canadian Labour Congress, is calling for governments, employers, and every community to work together to make sure that all, regardless of their identity, have a right to a workplace and a home free from harassment and violence. In 2021, there were over 36 women that have been identified victims of domestic violence murdered in BC alone, many more across the country. The names are many. I would like to read a few. Tanya Lee Nina Heyer was 45. Angela Dahlman was 40. Penyu Ivy Chen was only 36. Joy Morris, 62, of Vanderhoof. Barbara Waite, 64, of Squamish. Tina Seminars, 61, of Oisus. Jennifer Quinnell, 41. Tatiana Baziar, 50. Medea Bethrin Abrahamian, 23. Sarah Ford, 38. Erin Chelsea Borgford, 27. Usha Singh was 78. Amanda Black, only 22. Trina Hunt, 48. Brenda Ware, 35. Melissa Elizabeth Steele, 19, in Boston Bar. Amy Watts, 27, from Nanaimo. Carolyn Bernard Bowser, BC. We know Shannon White is currently missing. We don't know what's happened to Shannon, but Shannon's been missing since November 1st, and we hope that she will be found. Our thoughts and prayers are with her family as well. I would like for us just to take a moment of silence to remember those who are missing lost or taken from us, from your own families, from friends, and so forth. So just one moment, please. Down. Thank you. I would like to now introduce a very important person that's come to speak with us today as well. Cheryl Montgomery is the Victim Service Liaison. So Cheryl plays a very important role in helping us to support victims of violence and to help end violence. And I would like to welcome Cheryl up to the platform to say a few words. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you for inviting me and having me here today. Well, I guess I could take this off so I'm not muffled. Yes, I just wanted to let everybody know that we are an extension of the RCMP, and what we do in our role as a victim service liaison is we have information, and if we don't have the correct information, we try to find it for all victims and families. We deal with all kinds of crime and trauma, and it doesn't have to be a criminal offense in order to deal with us. Our services are all free of charge. We will liaison with the court system. We will accompany people to court to help them to be better witnesses. We will try to give them the strength and the tools that they need so that they can get out of violence, the relationships that they're in. And we also can transport people to shelters and to other family members if needed. We do go out on calls. Our referrals come from the RCMP when they get called on different types of crimes. And we deal with everything right from theft up to murder, as well as non-criminal offenses when somebody just needs an ear to listen. We're not counselors. We do have referral resources to help people with the counseling piece, and we have lots of information just to assist with that. We keep people informed on the investigation if it is a criminal offense. We will keep in touch with everybody to let them know what's the next step. And a lot of people don't know the justice system, which we will also go to Crown with them or for them to sort out what's going to happen next. There's applications that we help with that may reimburse people of any out-of-pocket money that they have due to a crime, and that's out of Vancouver. It's called the Crime Victim Assistance Program. So we assist with that as well, helping them fill out forms. We also assist with victim impact statements, which is not a legal document that you have to do, but it's a very important document so the judge can determine that, yes, this crime has affected a person, a family, a neighborhood. And, but you don't have to do it if you don't want. It's your choice. But it's read in the sentencing to help with what the judge is determining for the sentence. We assist people with notifications if they lose a loved one. We will give them the information as to how to move forward and what the next steps are. I mean, we do so much, I kind of forget half of it, but it just, whatever we're called to do, we do. If anybody has any questions, I'll gladly answer them the best I can. I've left brochures on the table there that will kind of describe what we do. So you just help yourself to that. And I've also brought, there's a tube of lipstick, and there's also a pen light, I guess a flashlight, pen light. But if you open them up, inside there is information of services that you can phone, to how to keep your children safe, all kinds of safety events. If you want to put your own information in there for emergency numbers, you definitely can, but not many men would go through your lipstick. So it's a great place to hide it in your purse. So if somebody's in trouble, they have all the information. And in the light as well, there's also information in there. And that's for men, women, whoever needs it, children. But I brought a few of them. If you want one, I can help you with that. But yeah, I don't know. If you have any questions, I'll gladly answer them after. But thank you again for having me here. And we're located over behind the Safeway in the Community Policing Building. We used to be at the downtown, but office space was limited. So now I'm over on the North Shore. And if you ever need to talk to us, you can definitely give us a call, because a lot of times you don't know if somebody else can help you out with something. But we're always welcoming anybody that would like to give us a call. Thank you.
Jules LaRue couldn't be with us here today. He will hopefully send a story to us that we will post on our Shoe Memorial, Red Dress Memorial site. But we thank him for thinking of us, and we look forward to hearing his story. Before we introduce our drummers for our final part of this ceremony, who will perform an honor song, I would like to acknowledge that there's a shoe memorial display at our QP 900 office on Seymour Street. And as mentioned, Dorothy McLaughlin's daughter, Lynn Chassey, is a member of the QP 900 City of Kamloops. And Ken Davis, who is the president of QP 900, will also be providing us with a video to say a few words about Lynn and the memorial as well. So thank you, Ken. I would like to thank all of the speakers and presenters today. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, your words of wisdom and hope, and all of your reminders of the importance of the actions that we take today. And thank you to our drummers and singers who will be with us shortly. I would also like to acknowledge our sisters on the planning committee of the Shoe Memorial and the Red Dress Memorial, and the many volunteers for your very hard work and ideas for and your presence to help us make this beautiful display for us. To Daryl Schmidt, our communications specialist, thank you for assisting us with the ceremony and for helping us with our website so that we are able to share the message and education. The shoes displayed here today will be donated to those in need, and we thank the community for their support and their donations. Funds that we have collected will also be donated to organizations that support victims of domestic violence and victims against all women. Thank you to our affiliates of the Labor Council who have supported us, and we acknowledge you, will acknowledge you on our website as well. Kuksham to all who will be viewing this and for your presence. So without any further delay, I would like to introduce our drummers here to take us out to end our ceremony. Thank you again, everyone, and thank you for your presence.
Hey! is the porcupine, and it's a protection song to encourage everybody to always protect their neighbors, watch out for your neighbors, and